Shalom, shalom, everybody. Once again, it's your brew, Bon Shemayim. That's me, back with another one. I just wanted to say, whether y'all like this video or you don't like it, hit the like button, drop a comment. Let's talk about it afterwards. And if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. So without any further ado, today's video is going to be about Israel. What is our problem? We are normally our biggest problems. We stand in our own way. We hate each other, a deep hatred, and that is evil. The hatred we have for each other is evil, and it gets in the way of us being able to accomplish things as a family, as a brotherhood, as a community, right? Because let's get into it. Let me bring up some examples. Okay, so for example, your homie is like, look, man, I need you to ride out. These homies disrespect, these other people disrespected the neighborhood. We need to ride out. This dude could be upset about something, or something could have happened. Or we was out here, this dude embarrassed me. This happened. This person did this, or I lost in a fight, or whatever the case could be. It could be something that raised this dude. This dude is fuming. And you his brother. You his friend, his brother, his close person, his confidant. And you telling this person like, look, bruh, that's not smart. You shouldn't do that. Calm down, you overreacting. And he would consider you not a friend because you could have been down with him, been peaceful with him, been loving to him in a brotherly manner. And guess what? He gonna be like, you not down to ride. You not down to ride out. This other person was down to ride out. That other person could have stolen from him. Tried to sleep with his baby's mother. You get what I'm saying? It could be a list of things that the other people have done more wrong to the person than you have, but they'll look at you as the wrong person for trying to tell them the good thing. Same with husbands and wives. So a wife could have been with a man who beat her, abused her, did her wrong, and then she'll get with a good man and he'll be the bad person. You're bad, you're evil, you're mean to me. When this guy is literally, because it's the correction, y'all. It's the correction. Same with children. You could have a good mom. Your parents could care for you. Your parents could care for you. Most likely they do. If you got strict parents and they're putting rules on you, the rules are because they care. The same way God loved us, he put rules on us because he cared about us, right? So you could have strict parents who are strict because they care. The things that they're telling you aren't because they think you're stupid or want you to be enabled, don't want you to be able to do anything. They want to restrict your life because people say the same things about God and his rules. But your parents aren't trying to restrict your life. They're benefiting you. But that person who restricts you as a child, the parent normally, you find the overwhelming, especially in this generation, an overwhelming amount of children who have disdain towards their parents because their parents don't want them to mess up, because their parents have high expectations for them. So the people who look out for you the most tend to be the ones the devil manipulate in the person, in their heart, to say, you know what, I hate these people. I hate these people. They're so evil to me. They're so wrong. And this is, let me tell you something. Before we get into the scriptures, this is how you catch it. If you are the one in your head, this is not mind what you say. Because listen, God's going to judge you according to your heart, not and according to your lips and according to your actions. So you don't have to say it to feel it. When you're in your head and you're thinking, man, I can't stand this dude. This your homie. I can't stand this dude. This dude get on my dang nerves. And this dude ain't did nothing but have your back when and the future is playing, like your brotherhood, have your back, take after your future plans. If you wanted to be a rapper, he was supporting you. But the moment he come to correct you, the moment correction comes in and the person is being corrected, they have a fit. Like I say, this goes in every circumstance. And this is why the community is tore apart. Because our people, our people can't come together. That's why the community is tore apart. Husband against wife, neighbor against neighbor, children against the parents. It's because we hate correction. We hate being corrected. And this is what's so crazy about our people, because I'm about to get into these scriptures. This is what's so crazy about our people. We hate correction so much that a person would be telling us the right thing. What did it say in the Bible? Am I your enemy because I tell you the truth? Right? Have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? So this is what we'll do. A person will believe something without research, without knowledge, without research or knowledge, and they'll be like, you know what? This is what I believe. And then you'll show them something otherwise. You'll show them evidence, proof, research, documents that show, okay, this is actually what this means. And you know what they'll say? Well, I don't care. This is my opinion. Because they don't want correction. This is the biggest problem we live with. Now, the children should know better than talk to the parents, but best believe in their heart, a lot of the times when you correcting the children, they looking at you like, look, man, I don't care what you're saying. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's because people despise correction. They despise the order of God. So let's go into Hosea 4. This is where we're going to start this off. And like I said, this is the downfall of Israel, the problem with our people, right? It says, hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, right? This is Hosea. This is Hosea 4, and we're going to start at 1. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. For the Lord conversely, it says, have a controversy, right? So the Lord have a controversy or a strife or a dispute with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth. Because people just are allowed to believe whatever you want, right? No mercy, no knowledge of God in the land, right? Because there's no mercy, no knowledge of God in the land. People want to be right. And then, like, for example, my cousin was just telling me about this. I'm going out again to bring up a story. My cousin was just telling me about this. You tell somebody all day long what they should do, how they should do it. Maybe you've been in that situation. Maybe you understand it. Maybe you haven't, but you just actually did the research. Maybe you spent 10 to 12 hours looking up, researching, and figuring out how to do something, right? And you give that advice to a person, and that person is just like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not for that. I'm not trying to do that. And then guess what? A year later, they hear somebody on the television or somebody who did less research than you, somebody who was less informed than you, tell them the same thing. A rapper or a TV star, a YouTuber, or somebody in their family who might have no understanding of what took place, of how to actually go about this. They'll give them the same advice from you, and then that person will come back and say, well, look, I'm doing this. Even though you had previously explained that that's probably the option they should have went. So then they'll say, well, I'm doing this. And guess what? When they say that, they're not going to say, well, I'm going to do this. Remember, you was telling me I should do this. Do you have any ideas how I could go about this? Even if you did the research or more informed, no. They're going to go with the person who told them, whether it be the internet, the TV, a superstar, or a person in their family who might not have the information or knowledge. They're going to go with that person and they're going to do it the way that person says to do it, even if they fail. Because this is what it is. It's our disdain towards each other. And this is a thing we got to work on, right? It says, by swearing and lying, right? Swearing, to swear or curse, in lying, right? To disappoint, to deceive, to fail, to grow, to lean, in killing, in stealing, in committing adultery, they break out, and the blood toucheth the blood. Therefore, the land shall mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish. It says, with the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven, yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Let no man strive. It says, yet, check this out. This is what I was just saying. It says, yet, let no man strive, right? To strive, to contend, to correct pretty much, or reapprove. What's reapprove? to decide, at judge, to prove to you that you might be wrong. Yet let no man strive nor reprove another, for thy people are as they that strive with the priest. Right? And the priests were supposed to be the head people, the people God put in charge. So this is one of the problems that destroy us, because we won't. It's like, I'm not going to let you tell me I'm wrong or correct me, even if you have the information. See, listening is a big key, because somebody could listen. Sometimes two things can be right. Sometimes both things can be right. Like me and my wife was discussing this earlier, and what was that, earlier yesterday, and I was explaining, or we was talking about this, both of us. There is luxury, right? Luxury home, classical luxury homes, and then there is modern luxury homes. They're both luxury. They're both considered luxury. They're both high valued items. So if a one person was to say, well, no, it's their only luxury is expensive, is a high classical luxury, and then the other person was to say, no, the only luxury is modern luxury, both would be wrong, because the person who built the house 80 years ago, and that house worth billions and billions, or hundreds of millions, or millions and millions of dollars, 10, 20 millions of dollars, right? That's considered a luxury house, even though it was built a long time ago. And now we got modern luxury, which is going to eventually lead to technological luxury. I believe that's going to be the next thing. You already have people like Bill Gates, and Elon Musk, which are working on those type of things, where everybody's or the next luxury status will be a whole computerized house, where your house kind of does work for you. It does the stuff. You come in, you talk to the floor might move you. You tell the refrigerator to take something out, or tell your robot assistants to take something out and pop it in the oven, and the oven automatically turns on to your voice, such and so on. That will probably be the future. So there can be multiple things that are correct at the same time. It don't always have to be one or other. And that's where we get wrong, because we will be like, yo, if it's got to be one or the other, so therefore I'm either right or you're right. And it's not about I'm right or you're right. It's not about the person at all. It's about the situation. It's about understanding, right? So guess what? Look what it says. Let no man strive nor reprove another, for thy people are as they that strive with the priests. They strive with the people who's supposed to be over them, right? So what is the consequences of that striving? It says, therefore shalt thou fall in a day, right? And the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother, right? The house, the mother was, the mother is the one who bore you. I would destroy the people where you come from, right? I would destroy where you come from, pretty much. Thou shalt fall in the day, and the prophet shall also fall with thee in the night. And we know that the evening or the night comes before the day, right? So it's saying that the prophets is going to fall first, because of these fake preachers that's out here in the world misleading people. It's led to people to feel like, well, I've studied, I've listened to preachers, I've done this, I got it. I don't need instruction. I don't need nothing. I got it, right? And it says, therefore thou shalt fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, right? So the prophet's going to fall first. And I would destroy thy mother, which is where you come from, right? It says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. That's our biggest problem. And why are we destroyed for a lack of knowledge? It says, because thou hast rejected knowledge. We reject the truth. We reject when somebody is breaking us down the truth. I will also reject thee, that thou should be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. I will also forget thy children, right? So it says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, right? You rejected it. You abhorred it. You didn't want to hear the knowledge. So therefore you can't learn. Think about it in a basic concept. If you never learned a language, if you didn't learn English, if somebody, you didn't have a person who taught you English, taught you how to write, taught you how to do these things in English, then therefore you would not be able to read a book and gain the understanding that the book gave you, because you've never learned how to read or reading comprehension. So you got to learn how to read before and learn reading comprehension. And then once you learn that, you're able to read and gain knowledge in other areas that you would not have been able to gain that knowledge without that. And we suffer the same problems as the people, right? So let's go to the next scripture. It says, this is Romans 10, right? Let's see. It says, we're going to start at Romans 10 and we're going to go to verse 5. It says, for Moses describeth the righteousness which is of the law, that the man doeth those things shall live by them, right? But the righteousness which is of faith speaketh on this wise, say not in thine heart, who shall ascend to heaven? That is, to bring Christ down from above, or who shall descend into the deep? That is, to bring Christ up again from the dead. But what saith it? The word is nigh thee, right? The word is nigh thee, right? Nigh means near thee. So the word is near you, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. That is the word of faith, which we preach. That if thou shalt confess with the mouth that the Lord Yeshua Mashiach, which some people call Jesus, shalt believe in thy heart that God has raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Right? For with the heart of man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. Right? For the scripture saith, whoso believeth on him shall not be ashamed. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. For the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon him, thy name of the Lord shall be saved. But what did Paul say to the Greeks? What did Paul say to the Romans? If by any means I magnify myself, right? I magnify my office, I magnify my position, because he was over them. The Greeks couldn't come to God because they didn't even know God. They needed a person of God, or the Romans, they needed a person of God to break down what God was, who God was to them, right? So it says, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. But check this out. How then shall they call upon whom they have not believed? Because if you didn't learn about who you should call on, how could you call on a person whom you've not believed? Remember, Christ said, if you've heard of any other Christ other than the one written in the book, do not follow, right? Other than the one that you have heard. He didn't say written in the book. He said that you have heard being ministered about in that time. And that was the same man who fulfilled all the prophecies from the Old Testament, who died, resurrected, and then went up to the heavens, right? And it says, how shall they call on him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him whom they have not heard, right? So how you going to believe in somebody you haven't even heard about? You just made up your own story about this person, or you've heard falsified stories of him, right? And how shall they hear without a preacher? So how you going to hear of him? It says, how shall you call upon whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? So without a preacher, how are you even going to hear it, right? And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things, right? And it's hard to get to the good things because we can't get past the basic things of correction. This holds us back. Like I say, children versus parents, brother versus brother, neighborhood versus neighborhood, wife versus husband. These are the things that hold us back. These are the things the devil used. The devil used the way you feel, the way we feel. I feel this way, and the devil will magnify that feeling. And a person will believe they right based off of their feelings and not off of the word. because there is no order. Let's go into a story to break down how there is no order. So this is John 4, and we're going to start at verse 7, right? It says, "Therefore cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yeshua saith unto her, Give me to drink. For the disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans." So remember Christ told the disciples to go not but unto the lost sheep of Israel. Christ still talked and helped other people. Like he was talking to her, trying to give her order to follow so she could learn the truth. We're going to get further into that. Christ also helped the other woman whom he called a dog. Yeah, he called her a dog and said, "How should I take the food from the children and cast the bread to the dogs?" Yet he still helped her, right? It says, "Of a Samaria. For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. And Yeshua answered and said unto her, If thou knowest the gift of God, and who it is that thou sayest to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water." So it's like if you knew who I really was, you would have asked, and I would have gave you living water, right? So what did the woman say? The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with. The well is deep. From whence hast thou that living water? And she said, Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof, himself, and his children, and his cattle? Right? Because she was claiming the Samaritans at that time were claiming to be the lost tribes of Israel, the 10 tribes. So she's like our father Jacob, but she wasn't a part of the 10 tribes. And this is how we know, right? It says, Yeshua answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. So he's like, whoever drink out of the well is gonna get thirsty again. But whoever drink what I'm giving is not gonna ever be thirsty again, right? It says, shall give him shall never thirst. But the water I shall, it says, I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up, right? So it's like what I would give you is going to be inside of you. So you never going to need to have it re-entered again, right? Springing up into everlasting life, right? So the woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water. So she asked, okay, you telling me who you are, so give me this water you speak of, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Right? And Yeshua said unto her, Go. So this was the order he gave. And people got to catch this. He actually gave her an order because that it wasn't the order for Christ to actually break down or teach to her specifically. The order was that she would need a husband, right? Like it says, don't it says, learn from your husband at home in all obedience, right? So it says, Yeshua said unto her, Go, call thy husband and come hither. Right? So he's like, if you want to learn, think about it. She says, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yeshua said unto her, Go, call thy husband and come hither. So go get your husband and come here, and I will give you the water. You will receive the water through that process. That was the order he gave her, right? Like if you told your children, hey, I need you to get up, vacuum the carpet, mop the floors, and take out the trash and wash the dishes. Those are orders that you expect your children to do, right? It says, the woman answered and said, I have no husband. So she lied. She like, I have no husband. Right? But what did Yeshua say? Yeshua said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. For thou hast had 5 husbands. So you've been married to 5 men. You've laid with 5 men. You've had 5 husbands. You see, so This can go to modern women. Women will say, well, I have no man. What did Christ tell this woman? You've had five. You have a person still. He's like, you've had five men, right? So go get your husband, right? It says, for thou hast had five husbands, and him whom thou now hast is not thy husband, right? So the man you're now with, that's not your husband. You didn't lay with this man, right? So the woman, understanding that Christ understood all the people she had been with in her life, right? In that saidest thou truly. The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet, right? Because the only way you could know about what I've done is if you were a prophet, right? And this is what else she said. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where man ought to worship, right? And people, what Yeshaya said, people, what some people call Jesus said. It said, Yeshaya saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor at Jerusalem worship the Father. And people, what else he said? Ye worship, ye know not what. See, so this was letting her know you're not one of the people of God. The Sumerians at that time, Israel, during Christ's time, the 12 tribes or the 10 tribes had already been on their way to America. They weren't over there in Samaria no more, right? So he says, ye worship, ye know not, right? So you don't know what you worship. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Right? So he's like, we know what we worship because we're God's people. That was proof that he was saying they weren't God's people, right? But the hour cometh, and now, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. That's one thing we talked about, in truth, because people don't like to hear the truth, right? For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship must worship him in spirit and in truth, right? The woman saith unto him, I know that the Messiah is coming, which is called Christ, or Masiach, right? The Masiach, the Messiah. When he is come, he will tell us all things, right? It says, Josiah saith unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. So he said, I am the Messiah. And upon this came his disciples and marveled that he talked with this woman. Like I said, that wasn't normal that he would have just been partaking and talking with this woman, right? Yet no man said, What seekest thou? Or why talkest thou with her? The woman left her water pot and went her away into the city, and saith to the man, Come and see a man which told me all things that I ever did. Notice it didn't say she went to her husband. Christ told her, if you want this water, go get your husband and come back. You'll receive the water. You'll receive this thing that I'm telling you, you'll receive this everlasting water. But what did she do? See, that's why I say people don't like to hear the truth or be obedient. What did she do? It says she went into the city and saith to the man. She just went to man. Let's go to G44. Let's go to G44, right? It says man face, right? A man, one of the human race. So it wasn't saying she went to her husband. She just went to the man. She went to the man in the city that she was in and talked to them. So imagine instead of going to get her husband so she go receive this gift from Christ, she just went and told everybody, right? Like she was the news, right? The woman left her water pot and went away into the city and saith to the man, Come, see a man which told me all things that I ever did. So he told me everything I ever did because she had 5 husbands. Yet she didn't go to her husband like he explained. It says, Is not this the Christ? So she's going and telling them this got to be the Messiah. Then they went out of the city and came unto him in the mean, while his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of. Therefore said the disciples one to another, Hath any man brought him aught to eat? Right? Yeshua saith unto him, my meat is to do the will that of him that sent me, and to finish his work. You see, so this beat a lot of the problems. Christ came to do the will of God. The woman didn't follow Christ's rules, which he normally wouldn't even spoke to her. He gave her an opportunity by reaching out to her and telling her this was the order in which you need to operate in order to receive this everlasting water. And guess what she did? Not followed his rules. She went and blabbered about them, blabbered about Christ, told about him being in the city, but didn't actually do what he told her to do. He didn't say go to the man and get the man of the city to come. He says, you have had 5 husbands. The man you with is not one. Go get your husband. Bring him and I'll give you this water. Right? Yet she didn't. And what did Christ say? My meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. So just because a person might, like, she believed he was the Messiah because he told her everything. But just because the other disciples didn't know what was going on, why ain't you eating? What's going on? And Christ's like, I'm filled up. Because they weren't getting the disciples at this time. See, so it's more than just the woman, it's also the disciples. The disciples didn't get that this is what he came to do. He came to do the will of God and to finish what God has sent him to do. So they thinking about eating, they thinking about surviving. I mean, if you go back to Peter when Christ was telling them that, yo, they're gonna get me tonight, I'm gonna be crucified soon. And they was like, no, God forbid, right? Like, this not gonna happen. This was his personal feeling. That's what Peter wanted. That's not what God wanted. Right? So people will go against the order of God based off of their own wants. This is why we are destroyed. Let's go into this next scripture, which is 1 Corinthians 11:3, right? Matter of fact, we'll start at 1. It says, be ye followers of me, right? Even as I am also of Christ. So this is Paul speaking. What did Paul say? Be ye followers of me. Why? Because there's alpha males and beta males. There's leaders, and there's followers. It's always been like that. It says, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I have delivered them unto you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ. So the head of man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, right? Just like the parents are the head of the children. And the head of Christ is God. See, there's an order, right? There's an order. It says that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man. See, so there's an order. People don't want, and people don't want to follow the order. Just like people don't want to follow the ministers, like males don't want to follow other males, even if they're not an alpha. You got betas who not doing very much research, don't have very much understanding, but they want to feel as if they understand. Everything is a competition for the world to feel like you know something, for everybody else to feel like you're special. The specialness comes between God. It's for God to feel like you're special, not for everybody else. The only people who should really feel like you're special is your house, is that order. The wife should feel like her husband is special. The children should feel like their parents are special. That is the order. Other than that, you don't look to other people to feel like you're special. The children should feel like you're special. Why? Because they should look up to you and follow your orders and walk in your footsteps. The husband should feel like the wife should feel like the husband is special because he is her connection to the Most High. He's over her the same way Christ is over him, in the same way God is over Christ. So the woman should look up to him thinking like, this is my connection. This is like if you have a superhero, the husband is the superhero, should be the superhero of the wife. The wife should be the superhero of the children. Christ is the superhero of us. I'm just going in basic terms using superhero, right? Christ is the superhero of us, the man, and God is the superhero of Christ, right? Let's get to the next scripture, which is Romans 13, right? 13, and we're gonna go let's start at 1. It says, let every soul be subject unto higher powers. See, and people will use this as if it was the government. This is not speaking of the government. I'm going to break this down. Watch, let me break it down. It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, right? So this means people who are over you, rather it was a man who God gave more knowledge or, this is the order of God. Not talking about you have to be subject to your governor. Because remember, when Christ went in front of the Roman, he didn't even speak. He was like dumb as a lamb, like the Bible prophesied. Dumb means to be quiet, to be shut up, to not speak, right? It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God, right? The powers that be are ordained of God. And people will say, well, God ordained the government. Let's keep reading. It says, whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For the rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. And this is another one. They will use that. For the rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. So it's saying that the rulers that will be placed over you, the people you should listen to, they're not going to get on you for doing something good, but evil. So that's how you know. The government will get on you for doing something good. The government will give you a ticket and put you in jail for feeding the homeless. That's not these same rulers that Christ was talking about, that the Bible was talking about. It's important that Paul was talking about in the Bible. It's important to know that. It says, for the rulers are not a terror of good works, but to the evil. Without then not be afraid of the power, right? It says, do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same, right? For he is the minister. So think about this. So the ruler that was put, it says, for the rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Now let's go down to 4. It says, for he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs to be subject. Right? So it's speaking of the person in the flesh, the person over you, the ruler. It wasn't speaking of a government, it was speaking of the religious rulers. The people who are over spirituality and the connection with God. That's what it's saying. It says, because they are ministers of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs to be subject, not only for wrath, but for conscience sake. Right? Let's go into this. Right? Conscience. Self-consciousness. Conscience. Right? But for conscience sake. It says, for this cause pay ye tribute also. For they are God's ministers, attending continually. So the tribute wasn't talking about the same tribute that Christ gave to Caesar. Like Christ said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, gives to God what belongs to God. Christ never said Caesar was a minister of God, right? It says the tribute also, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. It says, render therefore to all their dues, right? So for all the work that they're doing, render unto that, right? Tribute to whom tribute is due. Custom to whom custom. Fear to whom fear. Honor to whom honor, right? Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law, right? So this is important that we're going into this. So let every soul be subject to a higher power. The higher power is not the government. The higher power was the people God put over the word. God is the one, like we went to earlier in the Bible. It says, how could they preach unless they be sent? God is the one who raises people up. He's the one who give knowledge. When the Bible says knowledge puffeth itself up, it's talking about the knowledge of the world. It's not talking about the knowledge of God. Because why did Christ come then? Christ came so he said that he would reveal everything. Everything. That means he would give all the knowledge. Not the knowledge of the world, but the knowledge and understanding of God. Right? Now let's keep going. It says, owe no man anything but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. Right? It says, for this thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law, because the law was written so we would understand love and how to love each other. That's why the law was given. That's why the order was given, so we wouldn't be husband against wife, wife against husband, children against parents, household against household, neighborhood against neighborhood. That's what the law was given for, so that we would have love. Having love is not a feeling, right? It says, in that knowing the time that now it is high time to awake, right? The time that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. So it's time to wake up, right? For now is our salvation nearer than we believe. The night is far spent. The day is at hand, right? It says, let us therefore cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light, right? Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and in drunkenness, not in chambering and wantingness, not in strife, right? Strife is conflict, not with conflict. In envying, because that's what we have, conflict and envying. I got to be right, or you got to be wrong, which is not. Sometimes two things can be right. Or envy. Why would God put them ahead of us? I have to have my own personal relationship, which everybody do. That's your heart. You're going to be judged based off of your heart. But understand, your heart might be judging you already because of the evil and the wickedness, right? Strife and envying, because there's a lot of envy. People envy stars. Women envy men. Men now envy women. Children envy their parents because they want freedom. Children typically want freedom. They see the parents got freedom. The parents putting rules on them that don't apply to the parents, and the children want that same freedom. It's envy all around us. And these are the things we got to battle in ourselves to correct our communities and our households. It says, put ye on the Lord, Yeshua Mashiach, and make not provisions for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. And that's how the devil traps us. That's how he tricks you. Trust me, I know. I've been battling Satan off and keeping my faith up through this whole back injury. But God has gave me understanding. I've been poor through my whole life. I mean, I've had times where I was medium class, or, when I'm grinding, I was working before my back got injured and everything was fine. But growing up, we grew up poor. So I learned just to trust God with everything. See, a lot of times we'll say we trust God and give God the credit when we're making the moves. Let me go to this person and get some help from this person. Let me try to get some help from that person, which the Bible does say you have not because you ask not, but it's not speaking of people. It's saying you didn't ask God. You didn't pray to God over these things, right? So I understand that the world will put these binds on you. Rent's coming up, rent's tight. You might be getting evicted. Something's going on. So now you focused on rent. You focused on money. That will easily get you to go sell, like a woman, go sell her body, or even men will sell their body or sell dope to kill their community, hard drugs and different things to kill their community because they're focused on making it. And when they finish doing that, you know what they're going to say? Well, God helped me. When I was selling dope, God helped me sell that dope so I could make it through the hard time. Or I had to go sell my body, but guess what? It helped me make it through the hard time, which is not true. They're lying to themselves. They're lying to themselves, right? Let's get into the next scripture, y'all, because we got a lot of scriptures to go. So this is Leviticus 19, and we're going to start at verse 9. It's pretty much going over what we just went over, what we were just reading out of, and what page Romans 13. But this is it in the Old Testament. So there's nothing new under the sun. So there was no change from like a newer law, and then the old law didn't count. Like, no, the law has always been the same. And let's get it. It says, and the sons of Aaron brought the blood unto him, and he dipped his finger in the blood and put it upon the horns of the altar and poured out his blood at the bottom of the altar. But the fat and the kidneys and the calf above the liver of the sin offering, but he burnt it upon the altar as the Lord commanded Moses, right? So he did as God commanded Moses, just like the woman we read in the other story did not do what Christ commanded her, right? In the flesh, in the hide be burnt with fire without the camp. And he slew the burnt offering, and Aaron's son presented unto him the blood, which he sprinkled round about the altar. And they presented the burnt offering unto him with the pieces thereof, and the head, and he burnt them up in the altar. And he did wash the inward parts and legs, and burnt them up upon the burnt offering on the altar. And he brought the people's offering, and took the goat, which was the sin offering, for the people have slew it, and offered it for sin at the first. So where is this? This is am I in the right Leviticus? Hold on, let me see. Oh, I went to the wrong Leviticus. I'm sorry about that, y'all. Okay, here we go. Dang, I was reading. I was like, hold on, this not right. 19. Here we go. Okay, Leviticus 19. Now we could get to 9. Like I said, this is bouncing off of the Romans that we were just seeing. And it says in 9, and when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and the stranger. It says, I am the Lord your God. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely. So this is where we're going into the same thing he was saying in Romans. And once we hit Romans 13 and 8, from 8 down, this is almost the same thing, right? Neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another, right? So you're not supposed to deal falsely nor lie. Let's go to deal falsely for folks out there. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. To deal falsely. To be untrue in word, to lie, foreign, disown, or deed, to disappoint, to fail, right? Neither lie one to another. And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, right? Neither rob him the wages of him that is hired. Shall not abide with thee. So you can't rob your neighbor, or the wages of him that is hired. And he shall not abide with thee all night into the morning. So we weren't supposed to work the night shift or the overnight shift. It says that thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear thy God. Right? It says, I am the Lord. I am is a higher. I am the Lord. High is the Lord, right? Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the persons of the poor. Right? Yes. Let's get into that for people so they can see this, right? Primal root, to lift in a great variety of applications, literally and figuratively. Usage, to accept, advance, arise, to enable or to able, to armor, to suffer, to bear, up, to bring forth, burn, carry away, cast, contain, desire, ease, exact, exalt, self extol, fetch, forgive, furnish, further, give on, high, hold up, honorable, man laid, lay swift, lofty. So what it's pretty much saying, I'll break that down to what it's actually saying is, it says, thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, meaning like because a poor person is poor, you don't enable them to stay in that position. You help them. You're supposed to help the poor, give to the poor and to the needy, but you're not supposed to enable or able them to be in that situation, which is like you give to them the things that they don't need and not the things that would benefit the situation they're in. If they hungry, you give them food. If they, you're not supposed to uh, have respect to the person of the poor. You're not supposed to enable them to stay poor, right? Nor honor the person of the mighty, right? So nor are you supposed to just lift up the people who are not poor, the rich and the proud, and just be like, well, they're rich and I know rich people. Because let me tell you, I know a bunch of rich people, but I don't parade them around. Still to this day, I know rich people. I got cousins that's rich, but I don't parade them around. I'm proud of them. I'm happy for them that they are rich, but I don't use that as something like I need to parade around or to come after them to receive what they got. See, that's the part of the jealousy and envy thing that I was talking about that people are attacked by, right? It says, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. So in righteousness, according to God's law, you help the poor and the needy, and you put the respective manner of how you would treat the neighbor, whether he was rich or person, in righteousness. That's how you do that judging. Not be, oh, it's a poor person. They ain't worth nothing. They ain't did nothing. They ain't tried nothing. You're not supposed to oppress or hold down. And that's actually speaking curses on people, right? It says, thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, this is what we do. A lot of this happens. We go around telling, talebearing, bearing false witness, telling stories. And a lot of the stories are based off of a person's opinion. And a lot of people's opinions are based off of their heart. And the heart is wicked. So they're not even using logic in their opinion. So you could go around and paint a bad image of somebody through talebearing. Oh, well, this person is a horrible person. They do me wrong. And then guess what? Everybody else is going to look at that person as if they're horrible, when you could only be giving them half the story. And what you considered horrible might not actually be horrible, right? It says, thou shalt not go up as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Once again, Ahia, Wa, Adonai, right? Ahia is the Lord. Thou shalt not hate thy brother. Let's see if we can go into this a little more. Bo. It's actually giving me a hard time. It's not trying to work. I don't know why this is not working. It says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Okay, here we go. Sarne is hate. To hate personally, right? To hate, to be hateful, to hate. Of God, of men, of God, hater. That's where hater come from. One hating, enemy, one hating enemy, to be hated, hater. Once again, a person's nation's God wisdom, right? So we're not supposed to hate, right? Thou shalt not hate. And I'm going to show you in the New Testament that when it's saying hate, it's also saying disdain, right? It says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. And that's what the devil uses. To be honest, a person would be like they love you and they really hate you. Half the time in their mind, they thinking bad about you. Half the time in their mind, they thinking bad about you. It'd be the same person going out and committing adultery that's blaming you every day and thinking that you're committing adultery and jealous about every situation. It's the same thing. But in reality, they hate you. They don't know that they hate you because they feel as if they love you. But they don't even recognize what's going on in their own head in which they hate you. Right? It says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any ways rebuke thy neighbor. Let's go to what rebuke is. Rebuke. Yakah. Right? It says, or Yaha. 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 Right? It says, a primitive root to be right, that is correct. Correct, to argue, right? Causivity, to decide, justify, or reciprocally, to argue. Causivity, to decide, justify, or convict, right? So now that we know what that is, let's go back over that again. It says, and thou shalt in any wise rebuke. So you're supposed to correct people when they're wrong. If you're more educated, if you've read much more on stuff, you are supposed to correct people. That's literally giving the knowledge to another person. Now, if you feel like a person is always correcting you or against you, most likely it's you that's against yourself and against that person. And it's Satan that's manipulating you to believe that. If you feel like somebody's always against you without action or deed, there's people who are against you. There's husbands who come home pissed off and just beat up their women for no reason. There's bosses who gonna come into work and pick on you and give you a hard day. But then you got people at the job who the boss never even barely walk past them or don't speak to them or something like that. And they're like, well, that person's always being mean to me. They being evil to me. And that's just their head. That's just Satan in their head to make them think something and create diversion. But it says, thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Right? So if a person is in the wrong, you tell them what's right so that they could be corrected. It says, thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, right? So thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. Right? So against your own, you shouldn't feel the need to get revenge. A lot of the times that's just Satan making people feel like something's dramatic is happening to them. Right? It says, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord, and ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not I am the Lord, and thou shalt keep my statutes, right? I am is Ahia, Ashah, Ahia, right? I am that I am, Ahia, Ashah, Ahia. I am the Lord, Ahia, wa Adawanya, right? Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Ahia wa Adawanya. Ye shall keep my statutes, right? So let's get into this next scripture. Which this next scripture is John. And we're starting at 1 John 3. And we're going to start at 13, right? 13. Let's get it. 1 John 3 and 13, right? Let's go up. Matter of fact, let's go up to 12, right? It says, not as Cain, who was of that wicked one. Cain gave offerings. It was his heart that was wicked, y'all. It was his heart. His heart was wicked. And slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil because he was evil and his brothers righteous. Abel was righteous. It says, marvel not, my brethren, if the world hates you, right? So it says, marvel not if the world hates you. Let's go into what this word hate means right here. To hate, detest. I hate, detest, love less, esteem less, have less esteem for a person, love less, detest. So when people be like, some people believe, some people don't hate, and they just like, look, I just won't be bothered with you. I just won't be but before I hate you, I'm just not going to deal with you. And that way I don't have to hate you. I just don't, I'm not really worried about you, right? While other people would be like, well, I don't hate, but they don't know hate means to despise. If you despise somebody in your head, you're hating. Understand that. That's literally what the word said. Let's go to it one more time. To hate. I hate, to detest. Detest is like despise, right? To hate, detest, to love less, to esteem less. So without people knowing it, the world is filled with hatred, and a lot of people would feel like they don't hate, right? It says, if the world hate you, we know that we have passed from death unto life, because we love the brethren. He that loveth not his brethren, right, abideth in death. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer. Let's go right here. Hateth again. It's 3404, so it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same. To hate, to detest. I hate, detest, love less, esteem less. So without people knowing it, they're walking buckets of hate. So I'll be talking about when people are being so evil to each other, the only time we can laugh is when we make fun of another person. That's evil. That's evil. Like, and people don't recognize, we don't recognize our own evil because we've been twisted to think that that's not evil, or we're just having a little fun, we're just joking. But it's all in the thought. It all happens in the brain, the heart to the brain before you even know it, right? It says, it says, he that loveth not his brother abideth in death. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him. Right? So it says, if you hate, whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer. So if you detest, esteem less, love less, this is what the definition of that word mean, hateth, right? Is a murderer. You're considered a murderer. And ye know, so that's a battle you have to complete, because instead of murdering yourself every day, you're murdering other people in your head every day. Right? So instead of dying daily, you're killing other people daily. And ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him. So the thing that you think, so that's why I'll be saying this, is complexions within how God works with us and teaches us and what else we got in us, right? And it says, in that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him, right? So the thing that would lead you to salvation could not be present if you're murdering people in your brain every day. I'm not talking about murder on a video game. I'm talking about literal people you know, you're hating them. Or people you don't know, you're hating them, detesting them, despising them. You're murdering them every single day based on your own feelings. Based on your own feelings, right? It says, perceive we, it says, hereby perceive we the love of God. He laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. What did I just say? So instead of you killing the brethren every day, killing your husband every day, killing the children every day, killing the wife every day, you should kill yourself. And if a person is trying to correct you, don't get offended. And if you're not that wise, don't think you're going to correct everybody. It be people literally trying to correct people without even having the information and knowledge. Are you not self-absorbed then? Are you not self-absorbed if you have done no research on this, have done no studies and on nothing, but yet how did you formulate what you believe without any research to back it up? Right? It says, "For we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren, but whoso have this world's good." So if you got good things, you got the world's wealth, and see if his brother have need, and sheddeth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him? Right? So people who are in a good position, and you see people in a worse position, and you not helping them out, especially if you recognize the spirit of God in them, and you know you have. I'm not talking about if you don't have it, you don't have it. Right? You can't give what you don't have. But if you have it, man, make sure. It says, "My little children, let us not love in word," right? "Neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth." There go that truth word again. There's nothing wrong with being corrected or told what the truth is. But you know what we'll do? We'll quickly say, well, you know what? I don't believe that. I don't care where you got it from or where you read it. Oh, I don't care if you got it from the Britannia. I don't believe that. Instead of trying to make sense of it, we could quickly dismiss everything, right? Because we hate being corrected, and being corrected makes us hate other people, right? And hatred is against God, right? And hereby we know that we are of the truth, and shall assure our hearts before him. For if our hearts condemn us, God is greater than our heart and knoweth all things. So if you ever going through your head and thinking bad about somebody, and for one glimmer in your mind, because the voice could be, you could be listening to Satan, and the voice be so glimmering, it was like, maybe that person not that bad. Maybe you just tripping. And then guess what? Satan's going to flood you with a million things. No, he not good, or she not good, or these kids not good, they bad. Look at all of this. So it is that they evil, and it is that they bad. And that's how Satan attacks. When that one little glimmer would have told you, look, bro, you kind of wrong. Or look, sis, you kind of wrong. You're tripping. You're not behaving the way God wants you to. You're not being understanding or gentle. You're not playing your role, right? And it'll say what? It says, if our heart condemn us, my bad. It says, for if our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart and knoweth all things. Because the heart can trick you. Like the Bible says, the heart is deceiving. Who could know it, right? Only God, because the heart will deceive you, right? It says, beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then we have the confidence toward God. And whatsoever we ask, we receive of him. So when it says that you, like I went over, you have not because you ask not, it's talking about us asking of God. And that's why the order is important. Because when the order is important, then everybody in the house is asking the same thing of God. And then that goes into that other scripture where it says, if there are two or more witnesses, I am there with you. You see, so the order is so messed up because you can't get on the same page, because there's always one person want to be right, even if they didn't do the research. And they would assume that another person want to be right if they done the research. Like, how stupid would I be? I mean, not stupid, but how foolish would I be, or how ignorant would I be to go into an astronomy class and then try to tell the people in the astronomy class that they don't know what they're talking about. You don't know how many universes. Now, it is possible to say that because some of those things that they state might not be facts, but be theories. But on the things that they have factual, if they have evidence and studied this galaxy, and then this galaxy, and then this galaxy, and I don't even know about these galaxies, who am I to come in there and be like, look, no, it would behoove me to study, so then we can have a actual intelligent conversation on the galaxies. So if I had a point to prove that I didn't think some of these galaxies exist, or there was theories that defrauded or not defrauded, but took away from the theory of these galaxies existing, I would have the evidence through the research. But instead, we won't even do the research. We'll just take it on our heart. And then when we do the research, we'll find the first thing. Research meant getting multiple articles. That's what research means. Like a scientific experiment was doing a test over and over and over again to see what the percentage of the result of this being successful. Gravity. Look, I got this hair thing. Boom. Gravity took it down. That's how you prove gravity. Let's do it again. Oh, it happened again. That's how you would do it. You would do multiple tests to show. You would try the experiment over using different items, different objects. It's the same thing for studying. When you study, you go get different information, and you read the different information, the facts that support their theories, because most of those information has theories in them. So you read the facts that they have to support their theories and base it with other people's facts to try to come up to your own conclusion. But you don't just immediately say these people are wrong when you have no insight or knowledge on these subjects at all. He says, you're wrong because I want to be right, which is false, right? So let's get into the next scripture. I know this is a long Bible study, y'all. The next scripture is 1 John 4:20, right? And it says, if a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar, right? So let's go to what love is. Boop, boop, boop. All right. Love. To treat with affection, to caress, love, to be fond of. I love, I wish well to, take pleasure in, long for, denotes the love of reason, esteem. To love in a social or moral sense, right? So pretty much we know what love means. So it's saying that if you say, I love God, if the people say, I love God and hateth his brother. So if you love God and have disdain, because remember this word means to detest or to have disdain, then you're lying to yourself, right? It says to hate. I hate, detest, love less, esteem less. If you don't want to deal with somebody, that's fine. You don't have to. That would keep you away from hating. Just like I don't deal with them. I don't hate them. If they were in need, I would help them. I just don't deal with these people. But to say that you love God, which most people in the world say we love God. I love God. I love God. I love God. From the Indians to the Buddhists to Jewish people to Christians to Muslims, they all screaming, I love God. Yet all of them detest and hate another person. And like I say, and a lot of the times we'll do this against the people who actually love us, who actually care about our future and care about what's going to be the future of our life. We would show them hate, right? It says, if a man say, I love God and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he hath seen. So if you could be in front of your elder, in front of your pastor, in front of your husband, in front of your children, or in front of your wife, in front of your family, in front of people you can see and touch every day, if you could be in front of them and despise them, have disdain towards them, understand the problem is in you. The battle is something you need to fix. But you can't make everybody a problem based off of how you feel. It takes actions. And that's why I say, if people actually slow down, and I hope people really listen to this, because there will be women who will call their dudes ex-dude back because they got beat on. And then be with a person who don't beat on them, who don't verbally abuse them, calling them out their names, cursing at them, all that type of stuff, and say that the person is abusive or mean or evil towards them, right? The same way it'll be a dude who will see another dude coming down the street and think that this dude got an evil eye to me, and he don't even know this dude. This brother could be going on his way to somewhere else, and he think, oh, this brother about to rob me. This brother, not. We can't detest each other. That's why we can't be functioning. That's why we don't function as a people. How can I trust you? There is no trust in the world. How can I trust you or even believe anything might be good of you when you looking at me thinking that I might be trying to rob you. The same way the police come out and persecute people for being black, and we bring this up a lot. But you got to understand the police have hate. They detest these people. So before these people could ever even commit an action, they already in their heads, in their hearts, believe that they're criminals and have done something. That's how the devil attacks people. That's how he attacks people. And that's why people lose the fight to their own brains. Their own brains, instead of just being strong, and then they claim, and then we'll try to claim that we're strong. We're not being strong, because all we literally have to do most of the time is listen. Logic cannot prevail because people are so self-absorbed with themselves, right? It says, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother in whom he has seen, how can he love God whom he has seen not? So how can you say you love Christ? How can you say you love God? How can you say you love anybody else if you don't love the own people in front of you? If you detest your husband or detest your wife or detest your children or feel certain ways about it, it's all right to know that your children are like a bad, meaning the kids are kind of bad, right? That don't mean they're evil. It's your job to prevent them as a parent from becoming evil. Raise a child in the way they must go and they will not depart from it. That stops them from being evil. So it's one thing to be bad, it's another to be evil. Bad can mean you don't know any better. That's what bad people think. Bad could mean you don't know any better. Oh, I didn't know that jaywalking was a crime. Imagine if you didn't know about red lights and you just were walking across the street on a green light. People are like, this dude crazy, that's bad. But you never knew about red lights. Or green lights. You're just ignorant. And because of your ignorance, because of your lack of understanding and knowledge, it presents you to make choices that are bad. That don't mean you're evil though. Now let's keep going. The next scripture is Proverbs 10. And we're going to go down to, I believe, 12, right? Let's go. Proverbs 10. It says, he that winketh the eye causeth sorrow, but a prating fool shall fall. The mouth of the righteous man is a well of life. You see, but a person would think, well, you just talk too much. You see the righteous people get criticized, like Christ said, have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? The righteous will get criticized because other people don't want to hear righteousness. But then they still want to equivalate themselves as righteous, and that's part of the problem. Instead of recognizing our own evil, we throw ourselves in the boat of righteous. Instead of recognizing that we're trying to make the team and we're not there yet, but we're going to put in our best effort because we haven't. Everybody is celebrating as if they already made it. Well, I've known God my whole life. He's been with me. And that might be true. He might have had an angel and the spirits protecting you. And guess what? You're going to get up into heaven and say, well, I didn't know you. Or not into heaven. When he come down to earth, like the Bible says, he's going to say, I didn't know you. Right? So it says, the mouth of the righteous man is a well of life, the water of life. But violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. Because the wicked people only think negative things or have negative things to say. Correction isn't negative. Wicked is. Correction, being corrected, being told this is wrong, and then a person looking up evidence is not an evil thing. The mouth of the wicked is. Because it's violence that come out of the mouth. It's strife and conflict. And you know that when a person will come to you and be like, look, because some people will be like, look, oh, you ain't got nothing else to say? They're looking for drama. That means that every other time, they have never counted the times. They never pay attention to the times you don't correct them and let them go. They only get offended when you're correcting them. So therefore, when they say something that they feel like you might feel like is wrong, they expect you to correct them And they expect it to be just because you're trying to be right, instead of really understanding what the correction is about. You think, as a person who might do this, if you are a mom or a father, would you like for your child to expect every time you were correcting them you were just trying to be the right person? Or would you hope that they understand that you were just correcting them because you didn't want them to be ignorant or in the wrong or to have lack of knowledge on the subject? But because of this, strife comes up, violence comes up, hatred comes up, whether it's your wife or the person on the street. I mean, think about this. A person parked in 2 lanes in a parking lot. You could go up and try to tell that person, hey, bro, you parked in 2 lanes. That could lead to a brawl, lead to a fight, lead to your death, because that person don't want to be corrected. He don't care if he in 2 lanes. He might pull out. He might have only barely been in 2 lanes. He might pull out and pull right in the middle of the two on purpose, because they don't care if they're wrong and they don't want to be corrected. And all I'm trying to say is, if as a person, if you at home and you believe you one of the ones that God wants to be righteous and one of his chosen people that'll make it into his kingdom, that he prepared a place for you and is with you this whole time, then it behooves us to look at ourselves and correct the things when other people are correcting us. When people are telling us not to just be like, yo, I don't care if I park parallel. I don't care if I parked in 2 spots. Come do something about it. Instead to just be like, you know what? I messed up. Thank you for letting me know that. I didn't know. I didn't pay. I was on the phone. I was doing something. I wasn't paying attention. I was rushing. I'll fix it. Or I'll take this information down and gain the understanding from it, right? It says, hatred stirreth up strifes. You see? But violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. So out of the mouth is only violent and corrupt things that come out of wicked people's mouth most of the time. And like I say, you could know that because 90% of those people don't know it in themselves, but they'll spend their day belittling or tearing down somebody else as a benefit of laughter. And people say, well, that's just comedy. Well, just make fun of yourself then. Like Richard Pryor used to do. He made fun of himself. Comedy changed to become belittling other people. Let's talk about the handicapped person or the person who looked like his outfit ain't all up to par or got big glasses in the crowd, right? Versus what it used to be was, hey, I'm gonna just get on stage and talk about all these funny stories I got about myself. Instead, we like to belittle each other. And like I say, like the Bible says, but violence covers the mouth of the wicked, hatred stirreth up strifes, right? And that's what happens. The hatred of people stirreth up strifes. Eventually, you're only going to be able to discount people and talk down to people for so long before people it's going to create a strife. But it says, love covereth all sins, right? See, and love is not just in word, but it's in word and deed alone. It says, in the lips of him that hath understanding, wisdom is found. Right? In the lips of him that hath understanding, wisdom is found. So this is not the same wisdom or knowledge that it says knowledge puffeth itself up. This is not speaking of the same scripture. That's why understanding the context of the scriptures are important. Wisdom found, it says wisdom is found, right? But a rod is for the back of him that is void of understanding. So if you don't want to hear the words and the understanding that God has given to the people, then it's going to lead you to the rod or destruction. So you got to understand that. If you feel like you have to be right all the time, or you just want people to be on your side, that has nothing to do with truth or knowledge. And most people have never cared about truth or knowledge. And then they talk about God. If you didn't care about truth or knowledge, how do you know about God? Christ said he came to reveal all things. That is the truth and knowledge of God. So if you don't care about truth and knowledge, I've never cared about learning or studying. All I cared about was God. Well, how do you care about God if you didn't care about learning or studying? It's impossible to learn God if you don't study. You know how many people have read the Bible 1,000,000 times and still don't understand it? Because they haven't studied the Bible. They haven't went into the words. They haven't went into the context of the scriptures. What the Bible say? line upon line, script upon script, right? So you go from one line to another, from one scripture to another to gain the understanding. And most people haven't done that, right? It says, wise men lay up knowledge, right? But the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. See, so wise men lay up knowledge. I mean, they're going to study, they're going to figure more things out. Knowledge is not against God. If people think knowledge is against God, there's strands of science against God. Not even all science is against God. Some science tries to prove that God exists. There are scientists who believe in God, right? So it says, wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. The rich man wealth of his strong is his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty, right? The labor of the righteous tendeth to life. The fruit of the wicked is sin, right? He that is in the way of life, it says he is in the way, right? He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction. But he that refuses reproof erreth. So if you don't want to learn anything, you don't want to be told anything, then guess what? You err. You don't want to gain knowledge, then you're never going to gain it. How can you expect God to give you knowledge or understanding if you won't accept it? Right? He that hideth hatred, right? He that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. Right? So they'll hide their hatred with lying lips. They can't stand you. They detest you. They always have a problem with everything you do. There's an issue with everything you do, whether it be your homie, the person at school, your wife, your husband, the children. They always got a problem with everything you do, right? They disdain you. Not saying they have a problem, meaning they're trying to correct your wrong. But mean they have a problem like when you tell your kids, go get the trash. Oh, you get always being so hard and rough on us. You're always trying to tell us to do stuff. And they talk back and they start going off, right? Because they don't like being told what to do. So they're starting to have detest towards you. They're starting to not like you. They're getting sick of you. Less love, less esteem. These are the things that made up the word hate. It says, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. In the multitude of his words there wanteth not sin. But he that refraineth his lips is wise. So sometimes it's important, if you don't understand something, it's important to just listen. And that's what happens. A lot of times in a conversation, and I get that. Conversations is one person talks and then the next person talks. And what happens is when people want to keep talking, they'll be like, well, you're not listening or you're not giving me a way to talk. You know, I talked to the brother 123J. Shout out 123J. And I talked to a lot of brothers. And guess what? I've never had that issue with the brothers. With most, not I ain't gonna say with no brothers, but with most of the brews that I'm close to, I've never had that issue. You know why? Because when I'm going on rambling and running and talking about something, they listen. They're listening, comprehending, and give a logical or a intelligent response back. And same for me. I'll listen and let them finish, and then I'll come in and give a logical response back. But if the first thing in a person's mind is the moment a person's saying something is just and say something back without even thinking about it, without even processing it, without trying to find out if what they're saying is true or 100% true. Maybe they're partially right. Right? It says, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. The tongue of the just is as choice silver. The heart of the wicked is of little worth, because your heart is constantly deceiving you. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing when you're thinking bad and you're thinking evil of people and you're always thinking down. Even if you get over it after a couple hours, then you gotta understand you're the problem, because you get so emotionally pushed up that you think bad of them. Just like when a child is trying to correct a parent is trying to correct a child, and the child is getting angry and frustrated because they don't want to be corrected, they are the issue. The children are. If they would have just followed what the parents said or listened to gain the understanding the parents was dropping, they wouldn't have this hatred and disdain towards their parents for telling them the right thing to do, right? It says the lips of the righteous feed many, right? Because it's the words that come out of the righteous mouth that help many people. But fools die for want of wisdom, right? But fools die for want of wisdom. They'll die thinking, well, I want God to tell me everything. And guess what? They didn't do any studying. They didn't gain any knowledge. They didn't really want to gain information. So they think they right on what they want to be right on. They study the things that are constantly reconfirm their already pre-thought notions in their head. And then they can't be wrong. They can't go wrong from that, right? The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it, right? It is a sport to a fool to do mischief, right? But a man of understanding have wisdom, right? So it be the people who don't have the mindset that is quick to run to go do things, right? It says it is as sport. So let's go into this word. Diversion, laughter, to scorn, to mock, right? Laughter, joy, hollow, desertion, sport, right? So it pretty much means entertaining time, right? It is an entertaining time for a fool to do mischief. But a man of understanding hath wisdom. See, so this is not the same understanding or knowledge that puffeth itself up, as I'm going to iterate again, right? The fear of the wicked, it says, the fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, but the desires of the righteous shall be granted. So all these things that the wicked people fear in their heart, even though they go over themselves and say, well, I'm good, I'm going to be good, everything is good, God is with me. But what they fear in their heart, it's because of their wickedness. And like I say, everybody has that fear. Either that or they have such blind faith that they ignorant. But I think a lot of people just don't be honest with themselves, and that's why they don't like to go over. The Bible is mostly harsh. Most of the Bible talks about like murder, destruction, judgment. Like literally, majority of the Bible is about those things. And people skip over the judgment, skip over the destruction, skip over that, and just go to the mercy, because they don't want to actually hear what probably is coming to them without correction, right? So let's go into the next scripture, which this is Matthew 5:22, right? It says, this is Christ speaking. It says, but I say unto you that whosoever is angry, let's go to angry. To make angry, provoke to anger, irritate, provoke, I am angry, right? To provoke, to arouse to anger, to be provoked to anger, be angry, to be wroth with, right? So it says that whosoever is angry with his brother without cause, without a good reason. Did the brother rob from you? Did he steal from you? Did he beat you? Did he rape your wife? Did he curse you? What did he do? Right? Without proper cause. It says, whosoever is angry with his brother without cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka. Let's go to Raka. Sorry, my computer been moving slow. We almost at the end, y'all. So I thank y'all for sticking with me. Raka, empty or foolish. O empty one, thou art worthless, a term of utter vilification. Ooh, as a term of utter vilification. That's a great one, right? To vilify another person. Ooh, that's good, right? With his brother, it says, with his brother without cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say, to his brother raka, or to vilify him, to call them bad things, or to think bad about them, right? Or to say bad about them, shall be in danger of the council. But whoever shall say, thou fool, right? Let's go to this. Thou fool, dull, sluggish, stupid, foolish. Let's go down into here. Foolish, impious, godless, right? That it says shall be in danger of the council. Excuse me. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother have aught against thee, leave thy gift there before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. Agree with thine adversary quickly, while thou art in the way with them, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast to prison. Right? So like it says, if you let's go up to where it was at. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without cause shall be in danger of the judgment. Right? Let's go to the next scripture. This is Ephesians 4, and we're gonna start at verse let's start at 25, right? It says, wherefore, putting away lying, speaking every man truth with his neighbor. Because if we speak in truth and we honest and we're able to do research and share things without offense, then we could be neighbors, we could be families, we could be everything, because there's no more offense, right? It says, matter of fact, let me go back up. It says, wherefore, putting away lying, speaking every man truth, right? So putting away lying and speaking every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. It says, be ye angry, right? And sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. You're supposed to talk it out. That's where talking it out comes from. Too many times now, when you're talking to a person and you're trying to sit down and come to a resolution. See, people lack so much understanding that they don't get this. When you're talking to a person and you're trying to come to a resolution, typically in a resolution, you place the evidence. Both sides place their evidence, and one person ends up more right than the other person, or they both end up being right, and it's just a little bit of education that comes that the other person will receive, right? It says, let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place for the devil. It says, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. So before, like I said, before you go and offer your offering, go make sure you reconcile with your brother. Before you just go to God and feel like God is, because a lot of people would do that. Not saying don't go to God. You should go to, the Bible says we should be in prayer constantly without ceasing. So go to God all the time, in your head, without your head. Talk to God, talk to Christ, talk to the Most High all the time, right? I'm not saying not to go to God. What I'm saying is, it says, let not the sun go down upon your wrath, which means you're not supposed to go to sleep. Most people pray before they go to sleep, or they'll go to God to get something off of their chest. No, if you need to calm down, go to God. But once you calm down, go back to the person and have a constructive conversation. Right? Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor. So that means accept the truth that the person is going to speak to you, right? Right? Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Don't let the sun go down with you being angry. Let's go to wrath. Don't let the sun go down. Go and fix the issue. If you feel like you got something going on and it's something on your heart or your burden, go fix the issue. Therefore, you could separate it's Satan from God. Then you know, like, bro, I already talked to him, discussed that. That's over. We came to the understanding of what the evidence provides. I don't have no reason to be hating this person, right? Exasperation, wrath, right? Irritation, indignation, provocation, anger, right? Exasperation. Think about that. So it's like don't go to bed exasperated, wrath, or irritated, or having indignation towards another brother or sister, right? And these are the core reasons that we're separate as the people. These are literally the core reasons that everybody don't even get along with their own people. This is the reason why, in that we can't get along with each other. Kids don't get along with the rest of the kids. Parents don't get along with their kids most of the time. The parents that do, uh, a lot of the parents that do actually suck up to their kids so they could be their friends, so they can have a better relationship. But God forbid, I pray for those people because I hope that their children learn the truth and gain the truth. Therefore, they can keep that whatever peaceful relationship they believe they had by being a child's fan and not their disciplinary, right? It says, neither give place to the devil, right? So that's why you don't go to sleep on your wrath. Why? Because you in your heart, you in your head, and you talking to Satan. And Satan is going to keep emboldening those things in your head. And people will consider that God. Well, God told me you were evil. Or God told me I have this on my heart. I don't think he's right. I think God's telling me she's a bad person. When you really hearing it directly from Satan. It's the same thing as Eve eating the apple over and over again. Instead of eating the apple once like Eve did, we as people eat the apple the devil tricks us to eat every single day. To go against each other and hate each other. And then we'll consider certain things to be righteous. When the Bible says that you can fulfill all the laws by loving your neighbor as you love yourself, but people lack the understanding of love because they lack order, right? It says, let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth, right? Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth. So you correct that in your heart, in your head before it comes out. You don't have to be a debate all the time. Sometimes people are wrong. And what's so crazy, the main people who want to go back and forth about being right are typically wrong. It's so crazy about that. I mean, 123J will tell you we be on the phone and 123J will tell me some stuff. I'm like, dang, bro, I didn't even know nothing about that. Because I am ignorant of quite a few things. But when it's something I do know, 123J know I'm going to say something about it. And I might either pull up an article or bring up evidence. And it's the same for 123J. When he telling me something that I'm ignorant of, he always supports his theory. Well, most of the time, not all the time, because we'd be having just conversations. But most of the time, he's going to support it with evidence to back it up. To where now I've learned something new. It's not just like we're just going back and forth. Like, no, we have conversations. Some things he's way more knowledgeable about. Business and different things like that. Certain businesses and trucking and he grew up in the camp. So he's way more knowledgeable. He grew up a Hebrew. So he's more knowledgeable on certain things. And there's certain things I'm more knowledgeable on because I've studied computers. And you get what I'm saying? Because I put in the work to be knowledgeable about these things. He's more knowledgeable about cars. I'm more knowledgeable about computers. So when he's speaking of cars, I listen. When I'm speaking of computers, he listens. And we'll both have questions of each other to gain more information. See, to question don't mean to think somebody's wrong. It means to try to figure out what they're talking about. Right? It says, but that which is good, it says, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying. Let's go to edifying. Because people don't like hearing, like, it's almost like you talk too much. People, people feel like, oh, well, they talking too much. I don't want to hear this correction. Like I said, this can go all the way back to the kids, right? The act of building, edification, the act of building spiritual advancement, edification, right? The act of building up, metapha, edifying, edification. The act of one who promotes another's growth in Christian wisdom, piety, happiness, holiness, right? So it says the use of edifying that it says, but that which is good to the use of edifying. So what you can teach people with, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption. Unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath, in anger, in clamor. So let's go read what this word is. Right? A crying, screaming, shrieking, shouting. Right? So people get upset, they start crying, they get in their feelings, right? Bitterness. Let's go into bitterness. Bitterness, harshness, hence, right? Met an embittered, resentful spirit. Bitterness, harshness. And it's so funny it said harsh, because the truth isn't harsh, but people will literally say harsh things about you. They'll literally talk about you like literally. People will say the evil people. That's what I'm saying. And that's why it's important that we fight that battle so we don't become evil. Like evil people will literally be like, it's like you worship devil, or try to make it like you against Christ when you teaching them Christ because they don't know him. Like if I teach you that Christ didn't have a virgin birth and you're trying to say I'm against Christ because I'm saying he wasn't a virgin born and 100% spiritual, then you're just trying to run away from the truth. And you don't want to accept the truth. And you're going to use whatever you can, bitterness, right? And wrath and anger and clamor, evil speaking, right? You're going to use all of this evil speaking. You're a bad person. Let's go to evil speaking. Oh, right? They're going to use all of these things, the evil speaking, to discount because they just don't want to hear it. It said abusive or scurrilous language, blasphemy, right? To slander, detraction, speech injurious to another's good name, right? So speak badly on another person's good name, which people do that all the time to make them feel better. And then they'll be like, well, we got the connection. And this is when I said earlier at the beginning of this video that this video was about the downfall. Why are we downfalling? The biggest reason we're downfalling because there's no order and we can't come together. And we can't come together because there's always Satan creating strife between us because we listen. We don't want to be corrected because we don't listen. We don't want to be corrected. We don't want to be educated. We don't want to be advanced. And that's what causes the strife. As a person that's 6'6" and grew up, had a lot of fights and stuff, physical things for being picked on. As I've gotten older, I've had very few, even disagreements where it actually turned into an argument or anything else. Because I'm gonna say 90% of the time, because thank God he allows me to deal with more reasonable people. So when I am speaking to them, they tend to listen to gain the knowledge. Same way when they're teaching me things, I listen to gain the knowledge. And if I don't know the knowledge, I do research. Me being here with my back injured, I do research a lot. My wife told me, I told her some years ago she should have started up her healthcare business. Now she got into it and she was telling me about certificates. Guess what? I did 6 hours of research. I know everything about the certificates now. Not every detail, but a lot of details about the certificates. I even know that she don't even necessarily need those certificates. All she have to do is have a person hired with those certificates already, and she, because the owner of the business don't have to have anything to do with the medical side acumens. The medical acumens would just be for herself. But that was because I did the research. Once I was already researching on it previously when I told her about it, but once she told me that was what she wanted to do, right, to grow her business, to gain more certificates, I did more research so I could be more educated on the subject. And that's not something we're willing to do. Is do the research or hear the education from another person. But that's just what is natural. Like, we get so caught up with TV and wasting our time doing everything else that we won't even read even if it benefits ourselves. Even if it benefits ourselves, my life, my soul, we won't do the actual reading and the studying to figure it out. Right? It says, so what was this? This was Ephesians. Where was we at? Okay, so I went down to 32, I believe. Let's see. Was that Ephesians? This is Ephesians. My bad, y'all. I kind of got lost a little bit. Okay, it's Ephesians 5. That's what I thought. So we went down, I think, to, let's see, Ephesians 5. Okay. Let's go into this because it's part of the order, right? It says always for all things. We're going to start at Ephesians 5:20. Give thanks always for all things unto God and the Father in the name of our Lord Yeshua HaMashiach, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Wives, submit to your husbands unto your own husbands. It says, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, like Christ told that woman to go do, right? As unto the Lord. And we know the Lord is Christ. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. And the body is the church or the people, right? Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be unto their own husbands in everything, right? And husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church. Christ corrected the church. He was constantly correcting them. Actually, you could go back the way he treated Peter and some of the disciples. You could say Christ was being harsh. You could say he was harsh. He was just trying to give them understanding. Like, he literally called Peter Satan. He literally got mad at Peter for defending him and protecting his life, and then called him Satan because Peter was like, man, if you died, then I'm going to die with you. I ain't letting you take him. Like, Christ corrected Peter a bunch of times. He got mad at Peter when Peter started walking on the water. Had never walked on the water ever. And he just lost a little faith and started dipping into the water. And he was like, bruh. So that these are harsh ways in which you would be like, man, okay, you got it, bro. I know you had it for a minute. Good job. You know, it's not like that. But that's the way the church had created Christ to be when he came. The lamb means he was innocent. His blood was innocent. He didn't deserve to die. But they'll make him seem like Christ didn't correct people when he's literally called people broods and vipers, which are cuss words. He called a woman a dog because she wasn't Israel and said he wasn't going to give her things, which have been the equivalent of calling her a B word. The B word is a female dog. It's a female dog, right? All right, so it says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it, right? That he might sanctify and cleanse it. So what did Christ do for the church and the people? Sanctified and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having a spot or a wrinkle or any such thing, that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. Right? He that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourished and cherished it, even as the Lord of the church. Right? So what it's talking about is the correction. Christ corrected and brought together the church. Christ didn't die until the very end. He didn't die until, not the very end, but he didn't die until closer to the end of Matthew. You understand? When Christ was alive, he was building and doing everything he did with the church. Not when he was dead. He died for our sins. That was the great gift. He suffered for our sins. But when he was alive, he was walking around correcting, teaching, and giving understanding to the church. Right? It says, let's go. It says, even as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. Right? So ought men to love their wives. And it's the same for parents to love their children. It's the same for brothers to love their neighbors, neighborhoods to love the other neighborhoods. These is the breakdown of the same thing. If we want to fix the issues that's destroying our people, that's creating strife and not allowing us to come together, we got to look inside of ourselves and towards the roles and rule that God put up for us to follow, right? So this right here is 2 Timothy. We're going we're going to start at 1. 2 Timothy 4, we'll start at 1. It says, I charge thee, therefore, before God and the Lord, Yeshua Mashiach, or Jesus Christ, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing in his kingdom, right? So he's going to judge the quick and the dead at his appearing in his kingdom. It says, preach the word, be instant in season. So a lot of times people don't like correction because they don't want to hear the word. They feel like they know the word and they don't need nobody to teach them because God's going to teach them. But what are we charged to do? He says, I charge thee therefore before God. What did he charge us to do? To preach the word, to tell people about the word and give them the correct understanding, to be instant, in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. We live in that time. Sound doctrine is not endured. So that's why we constantly trying to bring y'all the truth of the gospel. Because sound doctrine is not revealed, is not the truth. And there's so many Hebrews that get on thing. You don't know if people even have education. People be joining the church for like a week and literally barely did any research and then getting on the scriptures, getting on the YouTube and talking as if they read the Bible a million times, as if they really study it and God gave them understanding. Because God is the one who gives understanding, right? But he gives it to a man, and the man gives it to other men, and then those men give it to the women, and the women and the man give it to their children. And this was the order of how that information was supposed to be passed, right? It says, when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned into fables. But watch, thou in all things endure afflictions and do the work of an evangelist. Sorry. Make full proof of thy ministry. Make full proof of thy ministry. So that means the people that you are teaching, that you're teaching the word of God, make full proof. Make sure they have full understanding. For I am now ready to be, it says, for I am now ready to be offered. In the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all of them also that love his appearing. Do thy diligence to come surely unto me. For Demas hath forsaken me, having loved this present world, and is departed unto Thessalonica. Right? So we know that this was at, right before it was almost over. He was about to, he got killed. He got killed for sure for spreading, for teaching the word. Let's go into the next scripture, which is Hebrews. We're going to go to 13, Hebrews 13, and we're going to start at 13, right? It says, Hebrews 13 and 13. It says, let us go forth, therefore, unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach. For here have we no continuing city, but we seek one to come. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to God continually. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name, but to do good and to communicate. It says to do good and to communicate, right? So to do good and to communicate good. It says, forget not, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased. To do good and to have good communication, right? For with such sacrifice God is well pleased. Here's another one. Obey them that have rule over you. Once again, Christians will use this for police, governments, all of that. Like we went through the first scripture that we went through earlier, which was Romans 13 and 1, and broke down how that was not what that was saying. We're going to go into this scripture and break that down too, right? So this is Hebrews 13, and now we're at 17, right? It says, obey them that have rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, as they must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief. See, this is not talking about a government. The government is not watching over your souls. This is talking about the holy people, the order, the wife to the husband, the children to the parents. The parents are watching over your souls. The husband is watching over the wife's souls. The ministers, the real ministers, the ones who really care about God and really are out there to push truth out, are watching over the people's souls. They care about the people's souls, right? Let's go over that again. It says, obey them that have rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, right? Not talking about that's why is it hiding your talents? Isn't talking about not investing your money. It's talking about if you know the word, if God happened to put the word on you and understanding on you, and you hide it, you bury it, and you don't go out and spread the word, you're not going to bring any more profit. Even if you got one person to gain the word and you went and talked to 1 million, that one person, what does it say? It says charity covers a multitude of sins. That's for a fact, right? Charity covers a multitude of sins. But that one person that you brought, every one person that you bring into the fold, it's like earning wealth for the kingdom of God. Every one person, because the kingdom is for the few, not the many. So every one person that God put it in the man to go out and bring these people, every one person they brought to the truth that make it into Christ's kingdom is a token towards them making it, right? It says, pray for us. It says, for they watch for your souls, as they that must give account, that they must do it with joy and not with grief, right? It says, submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy. So So, right, submit yourself so the people who watching over you, teaching you, trying to gain understanding that God put into your life, right? You get where I'm going, that God put into your life, so that they could give good account of you, and they'll do it with joy and not of grief. Not saying, man, I tried, but they made it so hard. It was a fight with every single thing. They never wanted to hear the truth. They shouldn't be doing it with grief. It's not saying that they can't do it with grief. It says, as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy. So they can give an account of you with joy, not an account and not with grief. So they don't have to give an account of you with grief. For that is unprofitable for you. If they got to give it to you in grief, if they got to say, this person grieved me, I was trying to tell them every time, and they were grieving me, that's not good for you. Remember, all those people Noah was ministering to for 120 years, they all died. God gave them the opportunity to make it out. They didn't listen, and the whole world was destroyed. So it's not profitable for you to be spoken of griefly, as far as grieving the person who God put in your life to give you understanding. Right? And that's why it's important, because the devil will make you think that somebody who put God in your somebody God put in your life to give you understanding is evil. Without recognizing your own evil, you would say that this person who God gave all of this knowledge and wisdom is evil. But guess what? They said the same thing about the prophets and the disciples in Christ. It's nothing new under the sun. But if you want it to be profitable, because like it says, for that is unprofitable for you. If you want it to be profitable, make their account be held with you in joy, right? It says, pray for us, for we trust we have a good conscience in all things, willing to live honestly. But I beseech you, the rather to do this, that I may be restored to you sooner. Right? So do this so I could be restored to you sooner. So I want to come, right? You got people over you who are watching for your souls, because they got to give account, right? That they, and make sure that they do it with joy and not with grief, right? Because he like, look, that way I'll come back to you sooner. Let's go back down. It says, but I beseech you, the rather to do this, right? So live honestly, and right, and make them have a joy over your account and not grief, right? It says, have all things in good conscience and are willing to live honestly, right? Because he's saying, but I beseech you to rather do this. So do all of those things we just named, that I may be restored to you sooner. Because he was one of the ones, the chief apostles, giving the gospel out, right? Now the God of peace that brought again from the dead our Lord Yeshua, that great shepherd of the sheep, through the blood of everlasting covenant, will make you perfect in every good work to do his will, working in you that which is well pleasing in his sight, through Yeshua Mashiach, to whom be glory forever and ever. Amen. Right? So let's get to the next scripture, which is Thessalonians. We're going to go to, we'll start at 8. Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians verse 2, we'll start at 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirits of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. Right? So Satan is our enemy. Satan is the one that we're going against. He's the one deceiving everybody to make people think that they actually have problems with each other. Because I don't have a problem with nobody. So when people end up having a problem with me, which is very rare, like literally, I very rarely have people having a problem with me unless I'm being profiled because I'm a black guy or I'm a big guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless I'm being profiled out and about. But everybody else I know, I very rarely, right, will have that situation, right? It says, even him whose coming is after the works of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, right? It says, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirits of his mouth, and shall destroy with brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, right? Because Satan is the one who's working in people's souls and controlling their thought process and controlling a lot of things. And this is this is the biggest issue. It's the war against Satan. And that issue, that war against Satan, leads to us being distorted and destroyed and having hatred towards ourselves. We could say it's from slavery. We could say all of these other things about history, but this has been going on far before we were ever in America, right? Of Satan, right? Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, right? Because that's what Satan do. He lies. He gives you false wonders. And with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish. It says, because they have not loved the truth. See, they in love with the lie. A lot of people don't want to hear the truth. And it says, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. They don't care about the truth. It's just about what they feel, and they don't want to feel like they're wrong. But you can't gain in knowledge without being wrong. You can't. I had to give up everything I learned as a kid to gain truth and knowledge. I had to fail plenty of tests before I learned how to get things right in school. I had to have practice tests, and I failed in practice tests. Did bad on certain homework assignments before I started to gain the understanding of this is how you do this homework. This test is actually easy. It took work and studying to get that. And for me to accept the knowledge and love the truth and recognize my wrongs so I could accept the truth, right? It says that they might be saved, right? Because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So they didn't receive that. People who don't want to receive the love of the truth, which is the big reason why our families are separated, our households are destroyed, and our community is on the verge of being wiped out, right? It's because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion. So because they didn't want to accept the truth, understand, if you got a person ministering to you, or if you're a child and your parents, if a child is watching this and your parents is telling you what to do right versus wrong, and you're not listening because you don't want to accept the truth, right? You don't want to accept the truth because you don't care about being saved. You don't care about being rescued from your situation. You feel like you've grown. You feel like you got it. So you're like, forget you, parent. Forget you, mom. Forget you, dad. You know how this generation of kids are, right? And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusions, right? So because you didn't want to accept the truth, you're going to start believing and making up things in your head. Lies. God allowed that to happen on you because you turned down his truth. So the battle, when we say that there's a battle in the head, and women are the weaker vessel according to the Bible. But part of being the weaker vessel means you understand the role and you cleave on. Just like children will cleave on to the parents, women will cleave on to the man will cleave on to Christ. But all of those, in any of those situations, if you don't accept the truth, right? Because they received not the love of the truth. They didn't accept the love of the truth. The people loving them and teaching them the truth that they might be saved, right? They had a strong delusion placed on them that they should believe a lie, right? So that's why I say a lot of people are their own worst enemy. A lot of people walk around hating everybody else and want to make people believe that everybody hates them. A lot of people walk around and say mean and rude and the most evil things to somebody else, and they'll try to act like, well, you're evil because you said this, and the thing that the person said wouldn't even be evil. That's how it works. Because if you hurt a person's feelings, They get into their emotions, Satan get into their head, and then guess what? You're the evil one. You're the bad person. That's why Christ said, if I become your enemy because I tell you the truth, right? It says, for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth. See, so this is a war. And if you don't want to fail the war, if as a people, if we don't want to fail the war, we have to come together. That means women have to, men, let's start with the men. Men need to obey Christ. Women need to honor and respect and obey the man. And children need to honor, respect, and obey both their parents. And once the household core is done, then that household, with that honor, love, and respect that they had towards each other in the order in the household, they need to take that honor, respect, and trust out of that household and give it to their neighbors. That's how we fix this problem. The Bible told us how we fix this problem. The disciples were doing that exact thing. But there's a Hebrew church on every corner, and I support all the churches and all the brews. But why can't we get together as Hebrew churches and come together, right? Because everybody want to be in charge of the order. I could have been the head of a church or something. But that wasn't my goal has always been if I could bring people to the truth. Not my truth, the Bible's truth. And sometimes what I know about the truth has grown, and I don't know the same things that when I was 13, I didn't know what I know now. So as I keep studying and keep educating, I grow more in the truth and learn more in the truth. But that's how it's supposed to be. And I've had the help of brothers who at certain points of times knew more than me. And guess what? I would have never gained the type of knowledge that I understand now if I did not accept what them brothers was giving me that I knew to be true. I had an elder before who was wrong about a lot of stuff. And if I would have allowed the things he was wrong about to make me not gain the other, because he had a lot of the law and a lot of that stuff that I really needed to learn and understand, and he had a lot of understanding on it. But if I would have been so caught up on this love and mercy of Christ that I was taught from Christianity that I still had a big hold of, because that is not just a Christianity thing, that's a biblical thing, right? So I was starting to understand the Old Testament and the law, but I still had the New Testament love and mercy and all of that, forgiveness and all of that, right? And if I would have allowed me not believing that the man who was my elder had those things in him, if I'd have let the devil manipulate me to say, well, he don't have love, he don't have mercy, then guess what? I wouldn't be where I am now. I would not have received the knowledge that God had prepared for me to receive. I had to humble myself and take that and then learn how to talk to him in a peaceful manner with him being the elder to show and prove all things like the Bible says. So I didn't pull him aside in front of everybody when we would be out and having our Bible studies. I would wait until the Bible study was over. Then I will pull him aside after the Bible study and be like, look, but it's this one scripture. And he respected me for doing that because I didn't charge him in front of the group. I felt like something was wrong, and I brought it up to him using the scripture to prove all things like the Bible says. But at the same time, I didn't do it in front of people to embarrass him. And I did not discount the other stuff that he was teaching me just because I thought he was wrong on another thing. But this is what we do. These are the things that keep us away from God, right? It says, strong delusion that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not in the truth, but had pleasure in the unrighteousness. But we are bound to give thanks away to God for you, brethren, beloved of our Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief in the truth. We forget about the truth. Truth matters. Whereunto he called you by our gospel, to the obtaining of the glory of our Lord. See, the obtaining of the glory of our Lord, Yeshua HaMashiach. Because we have to obtain the glory. We have to work for it. We're on tryouts. We're trying to make the team. We're not on the team already, y'all. We're trying to make the team. Some people gonna get there and he gonna be like, well, you didn't even finish all the tryouts. You didn't make it. We're trying to make the team, y'all. It says, therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which ye have been taught, whether by word or by our epistle. Now our Lord Yeshua Mashiach himself and God, even our Father, which hath loved us and have given us everlasting consolation in a good hope through grace, comfort your hearts and establish you in every good word and work. All right. So this is the last scripture, because I know people probably would, man, you talking about the neighborhood against the neighborhood, and the wife against the husband against the wife, the kids against the parents. Man, you know, but that's not the real battle. We're losing the battle as the house. The kids are losing the battles to the demons. The parents are losing the battles to the demons. The wife is losing the battles to the demons. The husband is losing the battle to the demons. The neighborhood is losing the battle to the demons. Because the reality is, if you find people who love you, they love you. And if you think in your head they don't, that's most likely Satan telling you they don't. It's not a real fact. But Satan will come up with any type of thing to make you not see all the things they are doing, just to see what you consider to be bad. Because the truth is, we battle against evil, not against people, but against evil. So let's get this. We're going to go to Ephesians 6 and verse 10. We're going to start at verse 10. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Right? So because that's the fight. That's who we're fighting. It's not this other person. This other person is fighting the devil too. If you don't control your devil, then the devil going to be attacking him. Everybody's fighting the devil. Right? Against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So the battle is not against husband versus wife, or children versus parents, or neighbor versus neighbor, or neighborhood versus neighborhood. The battle is it's not against flesh and blood. We're not at war with each other. We're at war with the demons inside of us, which is making us hate each other, which is the beginning of war, right? But against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Right? These are the things we battle against principalities. Let's go into principalities. Principalities, a beginning order, a rule, kingly or magisterial. Right? So governments, that's what principalities mean. Governments. Let's go to powers. Because I always be breaking these down, but I don't ever go to the definition. Now that we got it, let's go to it. This. A power, authority, weight. Power, authority, weight, especially moral authority, influence, and quasi-personal sense, derived from later Judaism of a spiritual power, hence an earthly power. Authority pretty much means authority. Now we know the principalities are the principalities. The principle is the baseline of the rules. Powers, right? So principalities are the governments. The powers are like corporations and other things that have major control. Corporations, religions, the things that control your life, the way you think, control your everything. How you go to work, how much money you make, what neighborhood you can stay in, because to be honest, corporations and powers control that, right? It says, We battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world. Right? So the rulers of darkness of this world, the fallen angels, Satan's crew, and the people that worship him. Right? Against spiritual wickedness in high places. Right? This is the battle. It says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day, and having done all to stand, stand therefore, having your lions girt about you with truth, there go that truth again, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, right? And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. So even though I was speaking of correction, and I corrected a lot of events and a lot of things that happened, right? What was I actually speaking of this whole lesson? The gospel of peace. Because everything I was correcting was the out of orderness, which would lead to us being back in order, which would lead to families, the husband not hating the wife not hating or having disdain for the husband, the children not hating or having disdain for the parents. See, people hate is like the word of murder, and that was brought up because of the Bible. But when you actually go into the definition of hate, they should use that to disdain, to find detestable, to like not like, to have less love, right? So people should actually go back and break it down, because when they find out what hate really is according to the Bible, a lot more people using it than not. Hate don't mean that you got to bust somebody's head open. Hate means that you disdain them. You don't like them. You don't care for them. You're annoyed with them. They're bothersome by them. If you're annoyed by a person who loves you, if you're annoyed with a person who loves you without proper cause, meaning it's not because they're breaking the law or doing something evil against God or beating you or cursing you or doing something bad like that, then guess what? It's most likely you. It's most likely you that are just annoyed by whatever they have in them. And it has nothing in it because you have no actions to show why you're annoyed. And correction shouldn't be something that annoy you. Like children shouldn't be annoyed that their parents correct them. That's part of learning. As you get old, for kids who have pets, don't you correct your pets? Don't you clean up after your pets? You take your dog. Well, I bet you people don't do that. But when you get kids or you gain responsibilities in life, you gonna learn that you will care for people and won't want them to mess up. I guess there's that many selfish people that they don't care about other people. But I guarantee there are other people though that are just like, no, we don't need to go out and drink tonight. No, why we need to go out to this hotel party? You got a man. Oh, we don't need to go party and drink tonight, man. You got a wife at home. Right? Those are people who care. But that could be annoying too. I don't care if I got a wife. You're not about to talk me out of going to the bar, and that's what it. You always trying to make it seem bad when I don't have nothing bad on my mind. I'm just going to do this. You have no business doing it. It's bad. Or he might not even trying to make it bad. He might just be correcting the fact that you literally don't be needing to do that and be in the midst of temptation when you're married. But people don't care because they justify their own righteousness themselves. That's why it's going to be a sad day when we make it to the kingdom. And people would be like, well, why does it matter so much to you? Well, it matters to me and it matters to us because if you care about a person, you want to make sure that they get the kingdom. You don't just falsely believe people going to get the kingdom. I'm still working myself to make it into the kingdom. My spot not guaranteed. I'm working right now. Every day I'm working trying to make it to the kingdom. It's not a guaranteed process, right? So with that note, like if I'm not guaranteed, then of course I'm gonna be worried for everybody else and try to make sure we all gonna make it. Because when I get to the kingdom, I want to see the people in the kingdom that I've cared about. And that's what's important. And that's what it's about. Because right now is all the time we got. Once we die and we leave here, we have no time to correct people. We have no time to pray for people. We have no time to think about the embetterment of people. When we leave here, we're just gonna be worried about it. Did I make it, or am I about to get this whooping? Am I getting the bosom of Abraham? Am I coming back for the kingdom, or am I about to get this whooping? That's what we're gonna focus on. That's exactly what we're gonna focus on. So on that note, this is a super long video. I actually don't expect y'all to probably watch the whole video straight through. I imagine y'all gonna chop it up, whatever, whatever. Uh, like I say, if you want to donate, this was a very in-depth, a bunch of scriptures. It was super long. That's why I didn't watch no videos. If you want to donate to me, my Cash App is $. It's right up here. $ Ban Shemayim, which means son of heaven, with the 7 at the end. And I appreciate any donations. If you don't have it, no problem. Just continue rocking with me. I appreciate you rocking, man. I appreciate your support, your likes, your views, and just y'all rocking with me and gaining education, especially since I can't go in street speak no more. So on that note, I just want to say Thawada, which means thank you. Thank y'all for showing up, showing out. Thawada, Taulal Haya by Shemishaya, Rabawakodash, right? Which is all praises to the Most High in the name of His Son and the Holy Spirit. And I want to say Barakatah, which means bless you. So on that note, this is a very long video. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me, even if it takes you a couple days to watch this whole video. I appreciate you watching it. And on that note, I want to say peace. And I'll catch you on the next time. Shalom, everybody. Barakatah.